So we're learning today the Gemara on the bottom of Daf Nun Amud Beis, the last two lines. This goes back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah was talking about a person that got stuck on the way out of Shabbos and it's becoming dark. The lashon of the Mishnah was Mishabah Baderech. The Mishnah is on the bottom, in the middle of Memtes Amud Beis, if you want to see. Mishabah Baderech v'chashchalei. He was coming on the way and it's becoming dark. So the Mishnah there says that if he knows a place, then he can establish a place for his tchum further away. Otherwise, he doesn't know where to establish a tchum, so then his shvisa will be right where he is. He establishes his dwelling right where he is, and he has a tchum, 2,000 amas, where he is. And so that's what the Gemara quotes over here. Omar, again, two lines from the bottom of Nun Amud Beis. Omar shvisasi bi'ikroi, mahalach memokim ragloi va'ad ikroi alpayim amma. If he says, I'm establishing my shvisa at the stump of a tree, so then his shvisa will be there. And then umei ikroi lebeisai, and from that stump, from that tree to his house is alpayim amma, is another 2,000 amma. Nimtza mahalach meshechashecha dal dalafam amma. So from where he is to the stump of this tree that he's saying he's establishing his shvisa, he can walk 2,000 amas, and then from there he can walk another 2,000 amas to his house. So he'll be able to get home at night for Shabbos.
It's probably a hair less than 2,000.
Huh?
No, it's a hair less.
2,000 and 2,000. Huh? It has to be a drop less. I don't know if it has to be less. It has to be he can walk 2,000, then he can walk another 2,000 to get to his house. Amar Rava. So Rava says, when could you do such a thing? You could have in mind and say that tree 2,000 amas away, I want my dwelling to be there. But he's not there yet. He's not there, B'chlal. So when could a person say have in mind such a thing? So Rava says, V'hu, this is only the chirot le'ikroi mati. If he would run to that place, to the stump of the tree that he's having in mind to have his shvisa there, he would reach there. Then it works. Yeah, he would reach there before Shabbos, right? Exactly, or maybe by Ben Shmoshes. He would reach there. Chayda means before Shabbos, yeah. Amalei Abaye, so Abaye asks in the question, but v'hachashchalei katani. In the Mishnah it says it became dark. So he says, Rav answered him, chashchal lebeisai. It became dark. If he's going to want to run all the way to his house, that's 4,000 amas away, then it's going to be dark when he gets home. Avale ikri shel ilon matzi azal. But to run to that place where he's having in mind to have his shvisa by the stump of a tree that's only 2,000 amas away, there he could run and he'll arrive there on time before it gets dark. Ikadamri, others said what Rav said over here in a little bit of a different version. Amar Rav chashchaloi, when it said in the Mishnah chashchaloi, that it's dark already and he can't make it there, kimaski kali kali. If he walks one step at a time, lightly, when he walks slowly, aval roit, but if he's going to run, mati, he will get there before it's dark, and that's good enough. Rabbe v'Rav Yosef have ka'azli b'orcha. Rabbe and Rav Yosef were both going on the way in Erev Shabbos, and they realized that they're far away from the city or from the tchum where they wanted to get into. So Amalei Rabbe Rav Yosef, Rabbe says to Rav Yosef, Tehei shvisa seinu, let's establish our shvisa tusi dikle under a specific palm tree. And he knew, Rabbe knew of a certain palm tree, the savel achua, that's there in a certain place and it's giving support, it's lending support to another palm tree that's right near it. Okay, that's the sign he had for that palm tree. Others say he gave another sign for this palm tree. Tusi dikla, let's establish hashvisa under a palm tree, the parik mare mikarga, that redeems its owner from taxes. So Rashi says it means that it gives so much fruits that the person that owns it makes so much money from the fruits, so therefore it covers his taxes. Okay, so he had a specific tree. He gave him a sign of a specific tree he wants to establish his tchum, his shvisa. Amalei, Rav Yosef said to Rabbe, lo yadainale, I don't know where this is. Amalei, so Rabbe said to him, smay chalai, I know where it is, so you give over to me, I'll establish the shvisa there for you. The Tanya, Rabbi Yossi, we learned in Abraisa, Rabbi Yossi said, there were two people that were together on the way. Echad makir. One person knows a specific place where he wants to establish his shvisa. Ve'echad she'eina makir. The other one does not know. Zeh she'eina makir, the one that does not know, u'meiseh shvisasei lemakir. He gives over the rights to establish his shvisa to the one that does know. And Zeh Shemaka Oimer, and then the one that knows says, Tehei Shvisa Seinu b'makom pleini. He establishes the Shvisa for him and his friend in that particular place. So Rabbi quoted him this brisa, and when Rabbi quoted it, he quoted it in the name of Rabbi Yosi. So the Gemara says, "V'loihi, loitana leik Rabbi Yosi." This is the fact that he said it in the name of Rabbi Yosi is not true. Rabbi Yosi is not the one that said this. This was a stam brisa without a name. We had this quoted before in the Gemara, and there it didn't bring it in the name of Rabbi Yosi because it wasn't. Rabbi Yosi didn't say it. So why did Rabbi quote Rabbi Yosef in the name of Rabbi Yosef? He wanted Rabbi Yosef to accept this brisa, the halacha that of this brisa, so he said it in the name of Rabbi Yosi. Why? Mishum de Rabbi Yosi mimukai imai. Rabbi Yosi, we always paskin like Rabbi Yosi. We had this before a few times. Rabbi Yosi, whenever he said a halacha, he always said it with a proper reasoning to explain what he's saying. So therefore, he said it in the name of Rabbi Yosi. So you see a very interesting thing, that even though Rabbi Yosi never said it, but he said it in the name of Rabbi Yosi. The Magen Avraham brings us la halacha that you're allowed to say something and quote it in the name of a Rav or an accepted authority, even though that person never said it. If you know for a fact that this is the halacha and you want people to trust you, you could say it in the name of der Rav Tazeh gesagt, or in this case, Rabbi Yosi said so. So we see here in the Gemara. Even though usually when you quote something, you're not allowed to quote something in the name of somebody that didn't say so. The Achreinim here bring there's a Mishnah in the end of Masechta Kala that says if you quote something in the name of someone that never said so, then I forgot the exact lashon that it says there, but it says you shouldn't do that. But that's if you're making something up on your own, and then you want to quote it in the name of some great person, that you're not allowed. But over here, he didn't see. This is a brisa. It's not pshat he made it up. It says it in the brisa. Elamai, the brisa was a stam brisa. It didn't say a name. So therefore, such a thing, which he knew that this is the halacha, he wanted Rabbi Yosef to accept it for him, so he said it in the name of Rabbi Yosi. There's other pshatim as well.
Only halacha psukim, not from Achim.
Not from
Achim.
What do you mean from an Achim?
Meaning, if there's a tshuva from certain Achim, you can't say that now this other Rav said this as well.
If it's the accepted psak, though, maybe yeah. If you know for a fact that this is the ungenumen psak, maybe you could. So what did it say in the Mishnah? That if you don't know where you can establish a shvisa anywhere else other than where you are right now, so then you're stuck on a way out of Shabbos. Your shvisa becomes where you are presently, and then you have 2,000 amos from there. So here the Gemara addresses the fundamental point about the whole concept of tchum, the measurement of 2,000 amos. Where does this measurement of 2,000 amos come from? Zog the Gemara, Hani alpayim amma. The 2,000 amos regarding tchum Shabbos. Heichen ksiven. Where does it say this in the Torah? Tanya, we learned in the Braisa. It says in the Torah regarding Shabbos, Shvu ish tachtov, that a person should sit in his place. Elu arba amos. Tachtov refers in his place, the space how much a person's body takes up, which is 4 amos. We learned this, the Gemara already made the cheshbon, that a person's body is 3 amos, and then he extends his hands as another amma, so together it's 4 amos. Then the Braisa continues, when the Torah says, Al yetze ish mimekaymai, a person should not go out of his place, so it says mimekaymai. What's considered to be mekaymai? Elu alpayim amma. Mekaymai is 2,000 amos. How do we know mekaymai is 2,000 amos? Amar Rav Chisda says, so the Gemara here is going to say a gzeira shava that's going to include a lot of different psukim. Lamadnu mokem mi mokem. We compare this pasuk where it says mimekaymai to another pasuk where it says mokem. Where is that other pasuk where it says mokem? So Rashi quotes the pasuk. Take a look in Rashi. So we have our pasuk al yetze ish mimekaymai, and we learn out from what it says by the ir miklot v'samti l'cha mokem asher yonos shama. Okay, it's the middle of the Rashi mokem mi mokem. So there's another pasuk that says mokem. Now umokem minisa. Then in that pasuk where it says mokem by the ir miklot, it also uses the term yonos, that he runs there, nisa. V'nisa minisa. So now we could make a gzeira shava. We could extend the gzeira shava. It's as if in the original pasuk of mimkaimai it also says the word yonos or nisa. And now we learn out from yet another pasuk where it says the term nisa. What's another pasuk where it says the term nisa? So if you look further in that Rashi, where there's a nice vav, Rashi says migvul ir miklotoi asher yonos. So there's another pasuk where it uses the term yonos, but it also says there the word gvul. And now we learn out V'nisa migvul. Now that in that pasuk it says nisa, and it also says the word gvul, so we include gvul in this gzeira shava, as if in the first pasuk it says the word gvul, and then now we could learn out a gzeira shava to another pasuk where it says gvul. And the gvul migvul. From this pasuk where it says gvul, we could learn out to yet another pasuk where it says gvul. What's that other pasuk where it says gvul? So Rashi brings it afterwards in Oy Zayin in the Rashi. At least in this Gemara, so it's printed over here. They give you the Oisius for the Psukim in this Rashi here. So Rashi brings the pasuk Umatza Oisei Goyal Adam Michutz LeGvul. So over here it says in the pasuk the word Gvul. And now in that pasuk, besides the word Gvul, it also says the word Chutz. V'chutz michutz. So now we compare we make a Gzei Shava from the word Chutz that it says in this pasuk to a word Chutz that it says in another pasuk. And what is that? The chsiv by the cities of the Leviim. There were the cities that the Eibishter says you have to give for the Leviim. So what does it say? Umardoisem yichutz le'ir es pa'as kedma alpayim ba'ama. You have to measure outside the city a space of 2,000 amas of empty area outside the city. So from here you see that the area of Mekaimai is 2,000 amas. This Gzei Shava. It's not usual for the Gemara to make such a kind of Gzei Shava, but the Gemara does do this sometimes. You have a similar thing that the Gemara learns out by B'dikas Chametz as well. How do you know that a B'dikas Chametz is Ner? The Gemara there learns out Ner, Mi Ner, and then Chipus, Mi Chipus, and there's one more, the Gemara does this also. Once you have one word that's learned out from a Gzei Shava and another pasuk, and that pasuk has an additional word in it, it's as if that additional word is in an original pasuk, and we keep on extending the Gzei Shava until we get to the right pasuk that we're looking for. This is part of the halacha l'Moshe Messina, just like every Gzei Shava is halacha l'Moshe Messina. This is part of the halacha l'Moshe Messina of the Gzei Shava.
According to this, can we do mikarei to another,
Huh?
one ilan to another ilan?
Zol Zayin, but
Can you do?
again, what?
Can you do from one ilan? We said from one ilan to a bais you could do. Can we do from one ilan? Then I have in mind the no.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. Here we're talking about the space of 2,000 amas. Yeah. Okay, look, obviously you can't do this with Kol HaTeira Kula. Start with Bereishis Bara Elikim, and then you find Elikim in another pasuk, and then you make a Gzei Shava from there to any other. I mean, this is all halacha l'Moshe Messina. Yeah, it's a Kabbalah. So the whole concept of Gzei Shava is a halacha l'Moshe Messina, that you're comparing these words. But the Gemara asks, if there's a Kabbalah, halacha l'Moshe Messina, to make this Gzei Shava, to compare it this way, to the word Chutz, v'neilev mikir ha'ir v'chutza elafama. It says over there in that pasuk that outside the city, or right a pasuk afterwards, it says outside the city was 1,000 amas. So in another pasuk it says that there was only 1,000 amas outside the city. Okay. Why those two psukim are not a stir is a different story. In one pasuk it says it has to be 2,000 amas outside, and another pasuk it says 1,000 amas. The Gemara talks about that in a different place. But the question is, maybe we should say, based on this Gzei Shava, that Tchum Shabbos is 1,000 amas. Says the Gemara, Donin Chutz Mi Chutz. We're learning out two words. We're comparing two words where it says Chutz, and they're the exact same word. But Ve'ein Donin Chutz Mi Chutza. We don't learn out Chutz from Chutza. It's a different word. There's another hey there. Ma inafkimin. Frek the Gemara, is that really a difference? If the word is different, a drop. Hatara de Rabbi Shmuel says the following Gzei Shava. V'shava kayin uba kayin. He makes a Gzei Shava between the words shav and ba, even though it's not even the same word. He says zui shiva, zui bia. Coming back or coming in is the same concept. It means the same thing. So therefore we can make a Gzei Shava between these two words. So you see that the Gzei Shava doesn't have to be the same word at all. So the Gemara answers, Hanimili heichedeleke midi dedomile. If you have a Gzei Shava, and those are the two words that are similar, so, and that there's no other words to make a Gzei Shava to, so then that's your Gzei Shava. Aval heiche de ikke midi dedomile. If you have two words that are exactly the same, so then midi dedomile yalfinon. That's the Gzei Shava, to the two words that are exactly the same, and not to a word that's not exactly the same. So therefore here the Gzei Shava is chutz chutz, which is 2,000 amas. Sagt the Gemara weiter. In the Mishnah, there was a machlokes about these 2,000 amas. Alpayim ama agulois. One opinion in the Mishnah, Rab Chanina ben Antigna said that you measure the 2,000 amas as a circle. Wherever the person is standing, he has 2,000 amas to walk in any direction around him. So it's like a circle. But the Rabbanon said in the Mishnah, I believe it was the Rabbanon, second, Chachamim oimrim mirubois ketavla. Wherever a person is standing, he has 2,000 amas around him, but you measure in a square. So therefore, if a person wants to go diagonal, he has more extra space, extra 800 amas, because in a diagonally it's going to be more space. So you measure it in a square, not in a circle.
Diagonal from where? From where he's facing?
Right, one second, we'll see. First, let's see what the Gemara says there. Frag the Gemara, Rab Chanina ben Antignas. Rab Chanina ben Antignas, why is he saying that it's a circle dafka? Manavshach. Question on him is manavshach. If he holds of the Gzeira Shava that we just learned out from over here, Peyos Ksivan, in that pasuk that we quoted before, Umadaisem Yichutz Le'ir es Pa'as Kedma Alpayim Bam. It says that there has to be 2,000 amas around the city, and it has to be 2,000 amas with corners, meaning square. So if he learns out from that Gzeira Shava, so it has to be square. Iles like Gzeira Shava, if he does not hold the Gzeira Shava, then Alpayim Ama Minole. How does he know 2,000 amas? So the Gemara answers, La'olam is like Gzeira Shava. He really does hold the Gzeira Shava. V'shani hacha. But over here, when it comes to applying this halacha to Shabbos, it's different. The Makra, because over there the pasuk says, Ze yile migrashei ha'arim. This should be the outside of the city, the empty area outside the city. Lezeh atanosim pays. That extra word zeh teaches me that all the 2,000 amas outside the city is square. But a person that's dwelling on Shabbos and he has 2,000 amas around him for the tchum, he doesn't get a 2,000 amas in a square that it gives him extra space to walk. Okay?
A miyut.
It's a miyut, exactly. Zeh is a miyut. Now, the Rabbanon that argue on this, they hold Zeh is not a miyut. The Rabbanon hold like this Braisa. Tani Rav Chananya said in a Braisa, Adarabba, the word Zeh is not a miyut, Zeh is including. Just like this, the extra word Zeh is actually coming to add and say that all Shofsei Shabbos should be just like the people that are there by the city around the Levim. They get this square, every person also gets this square. Okay, so now you ask the question, how exactly does this apply over here? When you get to Shabbos, the square that you get, how do you measure the square? The answer is you measure the square with the Ruchai Sa'olam. Mizrach, Ma'ariv, Tzafon, and Darim. So if a person is going directly to Mizrach, so then he has 2,000 amas. If he's going directly to Ma'ariv, directly to Tzafon, Darim, he has 2,000 amas. If he's going diagonally, Mizrach Tzfainis, he's going to the corner, so then he gets extra space. So then it's a laksan, it's the diagonal, so he gets extra space because of the corners that he has for the area that he's in. That's one pshat, that's one shitta. That's, I believe Rashi holds this, or maybe Taisus over here also speaks about this, brings...
Like the Rabbanon? We're passing like the Rabbanon? They have Al Husayna?
That you have, yes, I believe so. Yeah. So, but then Taisus brings another shitta. Taisus brings another shitta, that's Rabbeinu Tam. There's three shittas really. Well, I'll just tell you Rabbeinu Tam shitta. Rabbeinu Tam says you give a person this alaksain, this diagonal space of 2,000 plus the corners, which is another 800 amas, no matter which the way he goes. Because the limud is 2,000 amas plus that diagonal space, so whichever direction he goes, he gets that diagonal. So really the 2,000 amas is not 2,000 amas. It's 2,000 amas plus the extra space that you get for the square, no matter which direction you're going to.
Going to the first try, it's only mamish if you go to the corner. If you go here, it's already...
Correct. Okay, correct. Okay, Chanami. That's where you see over here the picture in the Bach. If you see in the side of it, you have the picture over here from the directions, right? So if you're going to, if you're going straight, so then you get one amount. If you're going diagonal, you get another amount. Okay. Zok the Gemara weiter. Now this applies. Now here's a big chiddush that the Gemara is going to say. Omer Rav Acha bar Yaakov, Hamavir daled ames b'reshus harabim. The malacha of carrying 4 amas in Reshus harabim, which we learned about so many times in Masechta Shabbos. Ein chayiv at shemavir hein v'alaksainon. You only chayiv if you carry not 4 amas. It has to be 4 amas plus the extra space of the diagonal line that there would be from one end to another end in the square of 4 amas. If you have a square of 4 amas, so it's much more. Of course, every amma, Rashi here says, every amma, if you have a square amma, diagonally, what's going to be the space? You're going to get an extra 2/5 of an amma. So if you have 4 amas, you're going to get an extra 8/5 of an amma, which is really another amma and another 3/5. Okay, so therefore, the alaksain of 4 amas, the diagonal space of 4 amas is going to be 5 amas and 3/5. That's the shear that you have to carry in order to be chayav on Shabbos. So Rashi, this is halacha, we pass on this way. So Rashi says we learn this out from the same pasuk that we're learning out over here, that it says that the space that you learn out from that pasuk is pa'as kedma. Pa'as, it says pa'as, square. So benegeh to 4 amas, there is no square. because it's just walking in one line. So there's no square. So therefore Rashi says, we learn out from there that the shear of 4 amas is always going to be this shear as if it was a square, and you take the diagonal of that square, that's the shear of the 4 amas. Very interesting. So we always say 4 amas, but it's not 4 amas.
There's not with Gemara Shabbos.
Huh? I don't think it's ever mentioned. I don't think it's ever, no, it's never mentioned in Gemara Shabbos, correct. But this is, the Taisvis does bring it up in Shabbos in a few places. But this is the halacha. This is the 4 amas is hein valaksainan. Yeah. At least according to Rashi. Rashi says it's always. Could be other Yishayim disagree. If I remember correctly, the Taisus Rid, I think, or others ask on Rashi and say that it also will depend if you're going in a direct line to Mizrach or Ma'ariv, then it will be 4 amas. But if you're going diagonally, Mizrach is Tzfainis, then what the Gemara here says will apply, that it'll be diagonal 5 amas and 2/5, or 3/5 that is. Okay. Amar Rav Papa. Now the Gemara brings a third application to this chiddush. Amar Rav Papa said, Bodik lan Rave. Rave wanted to inspect us. He wanted to check if we would know the halacha, so he asked us the following question. Amud b'Reshus HaRabim. You have a platform in the Reshus HaRabim which is Gavoya Yud. It's tall, 10 tfachim, the height of a Reshus HaYachid. V'Roichav Dalet. And it's wide, 4 tfachim. So that's usually the height and the width that we need to establish a Reshus HaYachid. So over here he asked the question, Tzarech hein valaksainon, oiloi, do I apply the same thing over here as well, that the width of 4x4 tvachim, or 4x4 amas, has to be it, and also the extra alaksain or not? Oiloi. V'amrinan lei lav. And we told him no. This is just 4 amas is good enough. Hainu the Rav Chananya. Sorry, again, not this is how you read the Gemara, sorry. And we told him, Lav, Haina de Rav Chananya, isn't this what Rav Chananya said? The Tanya Rav Chananya, Ayma Kazeh, you call Shavse Shabbos. That by Shabbos, it has to be Hein Valaksainan. It's not, you can't have just a space of 4, it has to be 4 plus the diagonal space, which is an extra 1 and 3/5. Okay, so this applies to this case as well over here.
So you do need it.
Yes, you do need it in order for it to be able to be a Reshus HaYachid, correct? So, no. So it depends. If you have a platform that happens to be round, so you don't have that extra space of the square, right? According to Rabbeinu Tam, actually, in this case, the actual entire square itself, from one end to the other end, not diagonally, has to be the space of the diagonal. Just like Rabbeinu Tam holds, b'negei to what we said before, b'negei to the 2,000 amas that you have. No matter which direction you're walking to, you have the space of 2,000 amas plus the additional of the diagonal, another 800 amas. Same thing over here. The space of this thing has to be in every direction. That extra space of 5 amas and 3/5. It's not a Reshus HaYachid. I don't think we pass like Rabbeinu Tam.
If it's round, it's not Reshus HaYachid.
If it's round, it's not. No, exactly, it's not good enough. Yeah.
Is this la aloha?
Yes. Believe so.
So if it's the cooler.
Okay, Zok the Gemara weiter. This goes back now to the Mishnah. V'zeh husha amru. So in order to understand this Gemara, you really have to know the Mishnah on Daf Mem Tes Amud Beis. So the Mishnah on Daf Mem Tes Amud Beis speaks again about this person that got stuck over here in the middle of the way. And the Mishnah said 2 options. If a person knows a space where he could establish a shvisa far away from him, so what did the Mishnah say? He says shvisasi be'ikrai, so then he could establish a shvisa there. But if he doesn't know, so then what happens? So then shvisasi be'mekaimi. So his shvisa is going to be in the place where he is right now. Where he is, he has 2,000 amas. After that, the Mishnah brings the machlokes, whether that's circle or square. And after that, the Mishnah says, and that's what the Gemara is going to talk about now, V'zui she'omru ha'ani ma'arav beraglov. This is what we said, that a person that's poor, meaning poor, not necessarily literally poor, but he's in the middle of the way, so he's allowed to make the Erev Tchumen by foot, without putting food there. Amar Rab Meir, so Rab Meir says, Anu ein lanu ela ani, this is only a poor person. Rabbi Yehuda me echad ani ve'echad asher. No, this includes whether you're poor, whether you're rich. Anybody could do this. And then the Mishnah says, Lei amru ma'arvim bepas ela lahakal ala asher shalayetze v'ya'arav beraglov. The whole idea of allowing to make an erev with food is a kula, not a chumrah. That's what it says here in the Mishnah. So, the main thing the Gemara is going to start off with over here is machlokes here. When it says in the Mishnah, "V'zu hi she'amru ha'ani ma'arav b'raglov," "zu hi she'amru" goes on which case? The Mishnah said two cases. The case of the Mishnah that's establishing an Eirov 2,000 amos away from where he is, as we said, that he thinks about a certain tree or he could run there, so therefore it's an Eirov there. And then there's the case that it says that he's establishing an Eirov where he's standing now. So the Zu Yisha Amru goes on which case? It's not clear. The Gemara will now bring a machlekes about this. So the Gemara, V'zeu she'amru ani mer'arav b'raglov, Amar Rav Meir, Anu ein lanu ela ani v'chulu. Amar Rav Nachman. Machlekes, the argument here between Rab Meir and Rab Yehuda is b'mekaymi. Was it Rab Meir and Rab Yehuda? Yeah, okay. So this is only b'mekaymi, regarding this that a person is saying, where I'm standing here in my place should be my tchum. And he has no food. The Rab Meir Sava Ikke Eirov Bepas. Rab Meir holds that an Eirov Tchumen is primarily supposed to be done with food. So Ani Huda Kilu Rabbanan Lavei. Only for a person that's in the middle of the way and he has no bread. Over here Chacham were makel to establish his Eirov where he's standing. Aval Asher Loi. If you're a rich person and you have food with you, you're in your house, you're in a city, so then you can't establish an Eirov without placing food there. Rabbi Yehuda Savar, Ikke Eirov Beregel. No, other way around. The main Eirov would be to establish your Shvisa by going there by foot, by being present there. Echadani ve'echad asher. So anybody could do this, right? If you can't go there by foot, so then they will make all that you can bring food there, but everybody agrees to this. Avol b'makayim ploini. But now, the other scenario, the first case that it said in the Mishnah, when a person is establishing his Eirov, saying my Shvisa is going to be in a different place, not where I'm standing right now, Divrei HaKoil, everybody would agree, Ani in Asher Loi. That's only for a person that's in the middle of the way, and he's an Ani, and not a person that's at home, that's an Asher. And now, the Gemara explains how you should read the Mishnah according to Rav Nachman's Pshat. V'zu hi she'amru, when it says in the Mishnah, Zu hi she'amru, man ketanila, who's saying this? Rab Meir. Rab Meir is saying this. Va'ahai koi, and on which case is Rab Meir going? A'enoi makir o she'enoi baki ba'alocha. On the case that the Mishnah said that he doesn't know any other place to establish his shvisa. He doesn't know the halacha that he could establish his shvisa somewhere else. He's making the shvisa right where he's standing. And on that, Rab Meir says that that's made only for an ani and not for an asher. Right? And then Rabbi Yehuda comes and argues and says, no, if you're establishing your shvisa where you're standing, that anybody could do. Now, how about the last line in the Mishnah? What's the last line of the Mishnah? V'loi omru ma'arvim bepas elo lahakol. This that you need bread, that's only a kula. But if you don't have bread, for sure you can make the Eirov where you're standing. Who's saying this? Rabbi Yehuda. That's part of what Rabbi Yehuda is explaining. Rabbi Yehuda is explaining that if you're standing there where you are and you're establishing the shvisa, that anybody could do, an ani or an asher. This is Rav Nachman's Pshat in the Mishnah. So the basis of Rav Nachman's Pshat in the Mishnah is that the whole machlokes is only benegayah to where the person is standing. If a person is establishing his shvisa in another place that he knows where he's not standing, everybody would agree that that's only for an ani that's in the middle of the way. Rav Chisda says no. Machlokes b'makom ploini. The whole argument between Rab Meir and Rab Yehuda was to establish this tchum not where you're standing, but you want to establish your shvisa in a different place that you know. You're not there now. The Rab Meir Savar, on that Rab Meir says, Ani and Asher Loi, only an Ani could establish that shvisa, but not an Asher, because you're not there. So this is only for Ani that's in the middle of the way. Rab Yehuda Savar, Rab Yehuda says, Echad Ani ve'echad Asher. Whether you're an ani, whether you're an asher, you could establish your shvisa by having in mind a specific place that you can go there. Avol b'mekaymi, where the person is standing, divrei HaKoil, everybody would agree, echad ani ve'echad asher, whether you're poor, you're in the middle of the way, whether you're rich, you're at home, that you establish your shvisa where you're standing. The ikke eirov beregel, because the main eirov is when you're there yourself by foot. So now, how would we read the Mishnah according to Rav Chisda's Pshat? V'zu hi she'amru man ketanila. Who is saying v'zu hi she'amru? Rav Meir is saying it. But v'ahai koi, on which case of our Mishnah is it referring to? Aha misheba baderech v'chashchaloi v'loi amru v'chashchaloi. It's going on the first case of the Mishnah. It's going on the case of the Mishnah where the person wants to establish the Eirov not where he's standing. He wants to establish it in a further place that he recognizes, that he knows. There's the machlekes of Rab Meir and Rab Yehuda. Then, how about the last line of the Mishnah? V'loy amru ma'arvim bepas ela lahakol man ketani la. Who's saying this? Divrei HaKoil. This goes according to everybody, because everybody will agree that if you want to establish the Eruv, the Shvisa, where you're standing right now, you could establish the Eruv where you're standing right now. There's no machlokes about that. So the last line of the Mishnah can go according to everybody. So this is the machlokes between Rav Nachman and Rav Chisda. Rav Nachman says that the machlokes between Rav Meir and Rav Yehuda is regarding establishing your Shvisa where you're standing. Even about that they argued. And Rav Chisda says, no. Regarding where you're standing, nobody argues. You could establish your Shvisa there. They're arguing if you want to establish your Shvisa in a different place where you're not standing right now, and you're not going to be putting food there either. So the Gemara, do you mind getting me a drop of water? Yeah. Right over here, inside the... Thank you very much. Tanya Kavas say that Rav Nachman, we learned in a Braise, like Rav Nachman's Pshat in the Mishnah. Echadani, the Braise says, Echadani v'echadasher, whether you're poor, whether you're rich, ma'arvim bepas. You make an Eruv with bread. V'lo yetze asher chutz l'tchom, an asher shouldn't go out out of the tchum, v'yoyma shvisasi b'mekaymi, and he'll say that my shvisa is in the place where I am. Lefi shalei amru ma'arvim beregel. This whole idea of a person going out to create a shvisa with being there presently with his own feet, only if he's there out and he has no choice, he's in the middle of the way and he's an ani, then he can go out by foot and establish his tchum there. Divrei Rab Meir. Rab Yehuda says, echad ani ve'echad asher, whether you're poor, you're in the middle of the way, whether you're rich, ma'arvim beregel, you can go out and establish your eruv by foot where you are. Ma'arvim beregel, yeah, okay. V'yetze. Again, how do you read this? Echad ani ve'echad asher ma'arvim beregel. V'yetze asher chutz l'tchum v'yoymar, and an asher can go out of the tchum and he says, Tehei shvisasi b'mekaymi, my shvisa should be in this place. V'zui ikroi shel eruv, and this is the ikra eruv. This is again, this is a follow up. This is a part of what Rabbi Yehuda is saying. That whether you're an ani, whether you're an asher, ma'arvim beregel, and v'yetzi asher, an asher could also go out and do this, because this is the ikka eruv. So what do you see right here in the Braisa? That the whole machlekes of Rab Meir and Rabbi Yehuda is regarding a person that's establishing the shvisa where he's standing. Even if he's standing right there in that place, Rab Meir and Rabbi Yehuda argue about this, whether that's a good shvisa, whether you could establish a shvisa that way. Another halacha which is unrelated to what we're talking about, v'hitiru chachamim, we had this before already, v'hitiru chachamim l'balabayis l'shloyach eiruvay biyad avdoi, biyad benoi, biyad shluchay. You could send the food for your eruv tchumen, for your shvisa, with a shliach, with a servant, with your son, into that place. You don't have to be there yourself. V'shvil l'hakal olav. This was only made to be makel for a person. Okay. So this is a clear brayse, like the opinion of Rav Nachman. Another thing Rabbi Yehuda said to bring a raya to his shitta. Rabbi Yehuda, Maise ba'anshe beis mamel. There was the story with the people of Beis Mamel, or ba'anshe beis Gurion, the people of Beis Gurion, ba'aroima, that were in Aroima. Shahoyim machalken groigeres v'tzimukin. So they were in the city Aroima, and they were giving out pressed figs, dried figs, and raisins, la'aniyim, for poor people. B'shnei batzeiris, it was a year, it was a hunger. U'ba'an aniyeh kfar Sichin v'aniyeh kfar Chananya. So the people of surrounding villages, from Sichin and from Chananya, they would come and to get food. How would they come? They would come before Shabbos u'machshichin alat chum. By the Ben Hashmoshes of Shabbos, they would come and be there on the Tchum in order to establish the Tchum for Shabbos. And Lamachras mashkim in Ubaim. And because they were there present by the place where they wanted to establish their Shvisa, so therefore tomorrow, the next day, they would come to the other city for the food that they would get from these people that would give out dried figs or raisins to eat. So what do you see over here? That according to Rabbi Yehuda, even these people, they were not considered to be aniyim. They're not in the middle of the way. They're home. They're in their villages. They're in their houses. How did they establish their eruv? By going there physically and being present there. Rav Meir, according to the version of this Brais and according to Rav Nachman's opinion, disagrees with this. You want to establish an Eruv, you have to put food there. You can't just go, if you're an usher, if you're a person that's living in your house, you can't make an Eruv by going there physically. You have to put food there. So this is what Rabbi Yehuda brought, a story to prove his opinion, that these people that were in the category of Ashirim, they would go there physically and establish their Eruv.
That's called Aniyim.
Huh?
Doesn't say Aniyim.
No, but it doesn't matter. That's why I kept on emphasizing when I read the whole Gemara that the definition of an ani and an usher is a person that's home is an usher. A person that's on the way and has no food is an ani. That's the definition of ani and usher. So these people were coming from their home. Amar Ravashi says, Masnisen nami deke. I'll bring you a raya from a later Mishnah that's in the next Amud. We'll learn in Mitzvah tomorrow as well. The Ktani in that Mishnah it says as follows: Mi sheyatza leilech liir shema'arvin la. A person wanted to go from one city to another city, and in order to get to that other city, he has to make an Eruv Tchumen. Why? Because the space between his city and the next city is, let's say, 4,000 amas. So in order for him to get to the next city, he has to establish a shvisa in between in order to be able to go to the next city. So he went out already on his way to go, and then v'chziroi chaveiroi. And he had in mind to establish his shvisa in that place in between the two cities, but in the middle of the way, his friend told him, no, forget about it, let's go back. He didn't ever actually go there to establish his shvisa. Okay, so what happened? So the Mishnah says, Hu muter leilech, he is allowed to travel from his city to another city, but b'chol b'nei ha'ir asurin. All the other people of the city are not allowed to go. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda. This is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. So the question was asked, what's the difference? Ma'ishna iu. What's the difference between this person himself u'ma'ishna inu? And what's the difference between all the other people of the city? He himself, he wanted to make the Eruv. He had a mind to establish the shvisa there, but he never ended up going. So we say that the shvisa is established and he can grow from one city to another. The rest of the people of the city can't. So we'll see Mitzvah Shem in that Mishnah what it's talking about. The other people of the city were relying on him. He was like their shliach. They were relying on him to establish the shvisa there. Right? But it only works for him and not for anyone else. What's the reason? Amar Rav Huna says, the case over here is the person that went out to make the Eruv the Tchumen has two houses. He has two houses, one house in this city and one house in the next city. Ushnei Tchumei Shabbos Beineyen. And so therefore there's two Tchumen that this person has. From one city, if he's living in one house, he has one Tchum from that city. If he's living in the other house, he has a Tchum from the other city. So therefore, when this person went out on the way, what did he go out on the way for? He went out on the way because he wanted to get to his other house. That was his kavanah. So he himself, even the nafkila orcha, since he went out on the way, havalei. He's considered to be like an ani. Because now he went out on the way to go to his other house, so he's in the middle of the way. Once he's in the middle of the way, between his two houses, he left his house that he was in. He's on his way to his other house. He didn't arrive yet to his other house. How do we define him? As a poor person. And once he's an ani, and therefore, an ani, even without having food, could establish a shvisa there without being there. But for Hanoch, the rest of the people of the city, Ashirim Ninu, all the other people, they're home. They're not in the middle of the way. They are Ashirim. They're defined as regular people that are home that are Ashirim. And therefore they cannot establish an Eruv through having in mind where you want to have your shvisa, through going there and having in mind that you're going to go there. Alma, so what do we see over here? Kol b'makom ploni, anytime that a person is thinking that I'm going to establish a shvisa b'makom ploni, ani in, only an ani could do this, asher loy, but an asher can't. Shema mina, we see over here, this is a raya to this halacha, that an ani could do this and an asher cannot. Like we see here in this Mishnah, all the people of the city are in the category of ashirim, so they couldn't establish their Eruv this way, but the person that went out on the way, he's an ani, and he could establish his Eruv this way.
And the all had kavanah.
Huh?
And they all had kavanah to go.
No, he did.
He did.
If their kavanah won't help though. Their kavana won't help because they're ashirim. He has two houses and he gets in the middle of the way, so therefore he's considered to be between his houses. He went in the middle of the way in order to get to his other house, so now he's in the middle of the way. So he's called an ani. Kavana alein helft nicht unless you're an ani. Person that's okay. Now only of in this case, if you're not there, only an ani helps.
What if he didn't have a second house?
So then he's not considered to be in the middle of the way. He didn't have a second house in the other city, so he went out. He's be'etzem still in his house in this city. He only went out with the purpose to put the Eiruvin there. That's not called the middle of the way. You went out for the purpose to make your Eiruvin. So you're still an Osher. So it's saying you have two different houses. He went to a different house. So he left this house. He didn't arrive to his other house, so he's in the middle of the way. So here's a person which is actually richer. He has two houses, but that's not what makes you rich. The very fact that he's in the middle of the way, that's what makes you an ani, and therefore you can establish the Erev Tchumen in this way.
If he be in the first house, then he can't have in mind to be shayus
Right.
also in both houses.
No, that's zichanish. You can, yeah, right. Yeah, you can't. It's a different. Yeah. Mastin la Rav Chia bar Ashi. So the Gemara now says we learned the name Rav Chia bar Ashi. L'Chia bar Rav Kamei de Rav. He was teaching in front of Rav. Echad ani ve'echad asher. That we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah that both an ani and both an asher could make the eight of this way. Amalei Rav, Sayim Bo, Nami, you should also conclude and say, Halacha Rabbi Yehuda, that we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, we'll see the continuation tomorrow.